to join hands and sing Kumbaya. Elon Musk, perhaps he went a little too far. Angel Reese and all of the negativity that the poor girl has to deal with. People that you idolize, they actually get along with each other better behind the scenes. I didn't insult him. I'm sorry. You insulted him a little bit. Maybe that's JD Vance talking to Elon Musk. We'll begin with apologies in the news. Folks are saying they're sorry we're about to join hands and sing Kumbaya. It seems Peter Cetera once said, "It's hard for me to say I'm sorry." Elton John said, "Sorry seems to be the hardest word." But it's a word that is crossing some pretty famous lips, and let's see if we can't all join one another in harmony today. We'll begin with Angel Reese, as we often have in recent days, and this time a little bit of a different spin because her teammate Ariel Atkins of the Chicago Sky took it upon herself to address the criticisms that poor Angel has to deal with, the things that are said about her in the media, the things that she has to listen to on social media, saying this kid's crown is heavy. And Angel Reese appreciated the love and validation, later saying, "I love my vet, man." Ariel Atkins, an 8-year WNBA veteran. And let's listen to what Ariel had to say about Angel Reese and all of the negativity that the poor girl has to deal with.
Kid. And the amount of crap that she gets on a day-to-day, and she still shows up. So whatever questions y'all got like about our team, basketball-wise, we appreciate it, but all the other nonsense, like, it's irrelevant. Like, we here to play basketball and do what we do. We having a hard time right now at the end of the day. Just a 23-year-old kid who handles herself with grace. Her crown is heavy. So whatever else, like, y'all want to come at her for the way that she acts, she has to build the wall. She has to have the wall. Because if she doesn't, people will break her down. Not only just because of the way she looks, but it's because of the way she carries herself. She doesn't just walk around and act like, oh, I'm this. No, she knows who she is. And we ain't going to break her down for that. So whatever other questions y'all got, like, I'm hoping it's just about basketball. Maybe a box score question. But the kid's crown is heavy. Like, respect that.
When you talk about the people who've been unjustly maligned in history, I feel like, well, I don't know. It's 1-2 for me. I'm not sure who's first and who's second, but it's pretty clearly Angel Reese and Jesus Christ. I don't know. How does Angel Reese handle it? All of the things that she has to deal with. Well, look, if you don't want the criticism, maybe consider what the behavior is. Because is this kind of criticism directed at everybody? Or is this a very special, specific kind of criticism that Angel Reese gets because of specifically the way she comports herself? And if her crown is heavy, maybe BET should stop giving her crowns. She was just, for the 3rd straight year, named BET Sportswoman of the Year. I haven't even known who Angel Reese was for 3 years. How the fuck does she have 3 of these? I only heard of her for the first time about 25 months ago, 26 months ago. I didn't know who she was until I started watching Caitlin Clark. She's already stacking these things like cordwood. And it's not setting well with everybody. Clarissa Shields is one of the people that it's not setting well with. You may or may not be aware of who this woman is. She's the baddest woman on the planet, is who she is. The greatest female boxer in the world. She says, still, I don't know how I didn't win Sportswoman of the Year. Congrats to Angel Reese and all the other nominees. I just thought accolades matter. Well, Clarissa, the only accolades you have is you are the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight, middleweight, and light middleweight woman's champion of the world. And a 5-division world champion overall if we look at her entire resume. If it wasn't for the scale limiting her, she'd be the champion of every goddamn division, this woman. She's never been beaten. But guess what? Maybe if you miss some more layups and padded your rebound stats and just acted like an asshole half the time, you'd have 3 BET awards as well. And speaking of people who actually would deserve a BET Sportswoman of the Year award, let's mention, and this is a little bit of foreshadowing for you because we're going to talk more about Simone Biles momentarily. But Simone Biles, I would remind you, the greatest gymnast that the United States has ever produced. 3 gold medals and a silver in Paris last year. And Asia Wilson, who we hear about all the time, how Asia Wilson is the most overlooked WNBA player. 3-time MVP, including being the reigning MVP of the league. She won it last year, and she also won a gold medal in Paris with the basketball team. So maybe, I haven't heard, do you think the Washington Mystics owner is going to speak up and say, why can't we give the BET Sportswoman of the Year award to everybody? You're right. You picked Asia Wilson's pocket. Are you kidding me? She's the reigning WNBA MVP and a gold medalist from last year. What's Angel Reese's accomplishments? Getting a lot of me-bounds for a terrible Chicago Sky team. That's all she did last year, other than the extracurriculars that she's constantly crying about when people criticize her. She's also being recognized for those extracurriculars in a stupid way, in this case, I would argue. And while we're on the subject of apologies and talking about, I would say, Ariel Atkins being an Angel Reese apologist in this case, you better apologize to me and to Barry Gibb if you even dream that anybody has ever had a sweeter falsetto than this motherfucker. And look at the hair as well. I stand in front of the bathroom mirror every morning before this show, and I don't walk into the home studio until I feel my hair is on that level. Can I get confirmation? Ronnie t-shirts?
Yeah, your hair's nowhere close to that.
God damn it, that's not what I wanted to hear.
Look at all the
You're going to owe me an apology.
Look at all the volume in his hair. Your hair doesn't have that kind of volume.
Well, he was using aerosol sprays that maybe I need to start considering.
Aquanet's still out there, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I'll do some investigation. But you may owe me an apology for saying that my hair is not on that level. Ronnie, I can tell you this. Simone Biles is backtracking. She is apologizing after, let's face it, losing an argument with Riley Gaines about biological males in women's sports. Simone, as we know, criticizing Riley Gaines for defending girls and women in girls and women's sports. Imagine that. What a thing for Riley Gaines to do. Simone Biles jumped on her case, called her a bully, said she looked like a man, among other things. Now Simone is walking that back, issuing a statement that she's sorry, that she shouldn't have done that. Here you can see, she says the current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges. It didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for, in part. Well, while we're apologizing, and it's a good thing that she did, I'll give credit where credit's due. Whatever her motivation is, I feel like Simone stuck a toe into the hot tub and then was like, "Oh, god damn, I burned my toes." And so now I'm going to apologize because she took the temperature of America on this issue and got reminded that 80% of us have we're tethered to reason to at least some extent in this society. And we recognize that biological males have no business competing against girls and women. And I'll tell you, while we're apologizing, maybe I'll issue one of my own apologies. I'm going to apologize to Bud Selig, who I used to think was the worst fucking commissioner that baseball had ever seen until this motherfucker came along. That's right, Rob Manfred. The golden at bat. Do you remember that idea? I tweeted this one a few months ago when they were talking about the idea that maybe you make a rule where you get one golden at bat a game, meaning that you can pick anybody on your team to jump the line, jump the batting order, and come to the plate. You're down a couple of runs in the ninth inning, and Aaron Judge made the last out in the eighth. Well, you get somebody on base, and then Aaron Boone could say, hey, Aaron, go up there and pinch hit for him. That's an idea. That's a real idea floated by Rob Manfred. I'm sorry, Bud Selig. In retrospect, you weren't that bad. And in retrospect, Elon Musk thinking perhaps he went a little too far, saying that Donald Trump was on Epstein's list and the truth will come out. Elon, and I still call them tweets, goddammit. I'm always going to call them tweets. I know it's X. Post is so generic. I didn't spend 10 years posting at Super 70 Sports. I've done it tweeting. And Elon tweeting out, I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump. Some of them. He's not being specific about which ones, but he goes on to say that they went too far. His comments of last week, we can only imagine that it would be the one where he suggested the president was a pedophile. That might be the one that he's referencing, I would assume. You're on Epstein's list, and now apparently it's just blowing over. People need to understand that politics a lot of the time, Jeff Jarrett was on this program, and he said politics and pro wrestling have a lot in common. And we've also had Glenn Jacobs, WWE's Kane, on the program, and Glenn is a mayor now. He knows a little something about both. And there is a performative element to this. The same people that told you that Trump is Hitler, the same people that are trying to tell you that Trump is Hitler now, by the way, they didn't have a lot to say when Barack Obama and Donald Trump were sitting next to each other, whispering to one another and chuckling about something. Nobody was like, oh my God, Obama is sitting down with Hitler having a laugh. They also didn't say very much when Obama was deporting 3 million illegal immigrants, but it's funny how these things seem to be colored by tribal affiliation sometimes. Charles C.W. Cook and I will have some conversation, I'm sure, about the Elon Trump falling out and possible reconciliation, as well as what's going on in California and what Gavin Newsom has had to say. But first, perhaps, we should celebrate an anniversary that you may not know about. Today, the 55th anniversary of Billy Bats getting got. Remember Billy Bats from Goodfellas? He was based on a real character, of course, a real person. And Billy Bats, June 11th. What day is it again? I don't fucking know. I'll apologize to the calendar now. June 11th, 1970. Billy Bats got it. And look, in fairness, he had an opportunity to not die that night. And there it is, one of the best lines in the entire movie. I didn't insult him. I'm sorry. You insulted him a little bit. And that's probably, maybe that's J.D. Vance talking to Elon Musk today. You insulted the president a little bit. Just a little bit. Elon's got to be careful. He's going to end up in a trunk somewhere. But, good shit. Let me bring in now the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. Ronnie, I don't know. Is there anything you want to apologize for today? Is there anybody that you want to call out who owes you an apology, perhaps? I'm going to apologize to you again. I've already done this before. Ron, I'm sorry for digging in the bag of nerds clusters repeatedly in Augusta, Georgia last year. I did it had to be 6-7 times I went into that bag. It was just too much, and by God, I'm still sorry.
It was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my life. It was truly the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my life.
You held it for as long as you could, which wasn't very long before you were like, will you put that fucking bag away?
So, Ricky, I have an interesting...
like a little kid.
I got an interesting thought on apologies. So, yesterday you and I were on the phone after the show. We were talking some business stuff. And you asked me to do something, and I jumped at you, right? And then I called you back and I said I was sorry. I said, dude, I jumped. I shouldn't have done that. That's just you and me having a conversation, and I react a certain way. I have a little bit of time to think about it, and then I apologize. But, what Simone Biles did and what Elon Musk did is, Ricky, I have never in my life had to make any kinds of apologies like that because I'm a freaking adult. And there's a difference between an interaction that you and I are having at that exact moment, and you say something and I just react to it, and when you actually have time, you actually have to type something out and push send. Like, I would just never do things like that because I'm an adult. I think things through, and I just don't do those things. Ryan and I have a policy with when we get upset with some of our clients is we write an email to that client and it's scathing, and then we send it to each other. We don't send it to our client. We send it to each other. It's cleansing. It gets out of our system, but we thought it through. I never have to go to a client and say, hey, I'm really sorry that I sent that email to you. I had a chance. There's time to think it out, Ricky. And so, you said, oh, I give credit to Simone Biles for apologizing. I don't. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. You had time to think about it. She's only apologizing
once she's already done it. I mean,
she's only apologizing because she got because she realized, like you said, that the water was really hot.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I do agree, but she's also in a no-win situation at that point. Once you've done the stupid thing, you can either apologize, even if it is a perfunctory bullshit apology, or you can just leave it out there. She obviously opted to apologize.
Ricky, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm disagreeing with you on giving her credit. She did what she had to do.
That's fair.
Yeah. No,
that's
just
fair.
Don't be a freaking adult and don't do something where you're going to have to apologize for it later. If you have time to think about it and you are strong in your convictions, go ahead, tweet it out, email it out, whatever it is. And then stand by it. Say, nope, this is what I think, and I'm not apologizing for it. So, yeah, I mean, this thing with Elon, same thing. Come on, dude. You're the smartest man in the world, and now a week later, you're like, oh, maybe I regret doing that. No, don't do it, man. You have time to think about those things. So, anyway.
How does that relationship come back together? Like, if you came on this show and suggested something just vile and terrible about me, and then like a week later you were like, some of the things I said about Ricky on the show,
or like, what if you like,
I'm going to just forget that?
Yeah,
that's why I say this is show business, man. This is pro wrestling. The stuff that goes on public. It's like Bill Maher alluded to it when he had his meeting with Donald Trump. And the one that Larry David wrote the op-ed, I think it was in the New York Times, about comparing it to meeting Hitler, because of course you got to compare everything that Donald Trump does to Hitler, whether it makes any fucking sense or not, and it never makes any sense. That whole thing where Maher said, basically like, the guy that I talked to in private wasn't really like the guy I see in public, and I think that's very clear, right? What is said in public, especially for somebody like Trump or Musk, guys who have been in the public eye and who being in public for them is let's face it, I mean, it's pretty easy. They've been doing it for their entire lives practically, or long stretches of their lives. So this isn't their first rodeo, and they have personas. And so you never know what you see in public. I always say, like, the people that are fucking fighting to the death on social media, arguing, friendships lost. As I talked about on this program, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the program, I lost somebody that I thought was one of my 2 or 3 best friends because I came to OutKick. We never talked about politics before I came to OutKick. We never talked about politics after I came to OutKick. But just the fact that he felt that I had stepped out of the bubble that he was comfortable residing in, we could no longer be friends after 17 years of friendship. I would say when somebody has that kind of conviction, that there's that sort of purity test, that if we vote for different people, you are a terrible person and I can no longer be your friend. That same guy, How does he speak to Barack Obama and Donald Trump sitting down next to each other and laughing together? If they can do that, then the rest of us ought to be able to also, because I assure you, lots of times the people that you idolize and the people that you hate, they actually get along with each other better behind the scenes than I think most Americans probably are aware of or can appreciate. Oftentimes, there is a show business element to this. So I don't even know what to make of Elon and Trump at this point. They may be like peas and carrots again in short order, for all I know.
Yeah, man, I don't know. There's still part of me. Just so much stuff happens lately. It's almost like it was orchestrated by them. Like Elon's apology or whatever that was. It's just that first step. Okay, and then they get back together. It just feels a little orchestrated.
And if you're Donald Trump, look, Donald Trump, he should have the ability. I know he can hold a grudge, but he also lets things roll off of his back pretty easy sometimes. You know how they're like the worst fucking person in the world until they say something positive about him, and then he flips and he's like, this person's, they're actually rather great, tremendous, terrific. It's like whatever is the most recent thing you've done is how Donald Trump feels about you. You're either the fucking devil or you're great. And he doesn't seem to hold grudges over things that people have said or done in the past. We have seen him appoint people to his cabinet. Marco Rubio. Remember they had the thing about small hands and this and that and whatever. And then Marco Rubio becomes a key player in the Trump administration. So, a lot of it is theatrics. We'll see what happens. Elon and Trump are both very unusual personalities anyway. So I don't even know, Ron. I will say, go ahead, Ronnie.
Oh, I was just going to say, are you suggesting that acting's easy?
Listen, you don't get 2 victory laps on that, you motherfucker. I accepted your first one. Oh my God, we're going to kiss and make up now. That is
kind of gross.
Let me tell you something now.
You know what? I take that back.
People just left the LGBT community after seeing that.
No,
I think we just converted a few people over to Team Hetero.
Love is love.
After that.
Look, it's a Tesla too. You see the little Tesla logo there in the background?
It's extremely well done. Yeah. Hey, listen, AI is getting crazy. Now that we look at that and we're like, oh, whatever. But I sent you a video.
That videos?
And, maybe I could have told Tim about this. It's not necessarily the most efficient use of showtime here for me to say this, but there was an AI fake video that was posted that looks so real. I sent it to you that it is fucking frightening. I have said all along, that's funny. We are living in a very, very, the window is about this wide. It's a Ronnie micropenis window that we're living in right now, where AI is just kind of dumb still, and we can see it, and that AI album cover that Ricky made was kind of funny or whatever, right? And Ron, we are very, yeah, that. All right, well, let me just check that.
How many days in a row?
Yeah.
How many days in a row?
Got that in the show today. All right. I don't even care what happens the rest of the show. That's done. But it's getting so real that we're not going to be able to tell the difference, right? This is real. This photo that you're looking at of Carlos Alcaraz, who just won the French Open after coming back from that deficit. Look at that. Remember that. Somebody tweeted, remember that the next time you're in a difficult situation in your life.
Like that's
down 2-1, down 5-3, triple match point in the 4th set. Look at all that dirt on him. That
man, I wonder what the live betting was. I wonder what the live betting odds were at that moment.
Oh, Christ. That's a great question. Fights off 3 match points, ultimately goes on to win the 4th set in a tiebreaker, and wins the 5th set in a tiebreaker, coming all the way back from 2 sets down to take the French Open. This kid is incredible. But when you look at that, at least you know it's real. We're in a time now where it's going to be indistinguishable what's fake and real. And people are so gullible.
I get caught all the time
to misinformation.
I get caught all the time now.
Well, if you're already getting caught, I pride myself on being the guy who sees it. But take a look at this, Ronnie. This is great shit right here. Alcaraz celebrating with the ball kids after winning the tournament. And we'll determine whether this is AI or not when either a shark comes in and eats them all or doesn't. Because that's where we're headed. But have a look at that. That is a beautiful moment.
So Alcatraz,
Carlos Alcaraz. Yeah, Alcaraz may be my sweet bastard of the week. He may be the sweetest bastard in this week's Ricky Cobb's Rewind newsletter. It's going to be dropping tomorrow, the second edition that we've ever had. Get over to outkick.com/newsletters and sign up. The Margarita Mailbag, Sweetest Bastard of the Week. Send me your childhood photos. I'll caption them. It's your backstage pass to all things Super 70 sports and the Ricky Cobb Show. Ron, I know that you have already subscribed and you're eagerly awaiting.
I share it with everybody. Hey,
Ricky
real quick
Cobb's
on Alcaraz. On Alcaraz, I have another
Yeah.
reason for you to like him. I know we got to get it. I know we have to move on, but there's a video out there that shows him watching the finals of the UEFA Nations Championship game between Spain and Portugal. Well, Portugal ended up winning in PKs. And I'm telling you, this kid looked like it was the worst day of his life. He had just won the French Open a couple hours before, and he was distraught. And it just was like, you know, that whole Us magazine, they're just like us. He's just like us.
We're
He's
all
going to look
fans,
back on that day.
you know?
He's
It's
going to look
relatable.
back on that day and say it was one of the worst days of my life because Portugal beat us in PKs.
Well, somebody's going to look back on that day and think that it was one of the best days of their life, Ronnie, because Tim telling me Alcaraz was plus 6,500 when it was triple match point.
But could you imagine
So if
pushing that
somebody-
button? There's no way.
Well, you know what? I could imagine putting 10 or 20 on it. Alcaraz was serving.
Yeah.
So, you know, 3 good serves and we're at deuce.
$10 would be $650.
I don't
Holy
know.
crap.
Well, let me tell you something. It's not plus 6,500 right now. You can't get a wager down on this that's going to make you rich. Here's one right here, man, that Tim just put up on the screen. Ron, I know you saw this. I tweeted out, name a poster you had as a kid. I'll start with this sweet bastard that adorned my bedroom closet door for years, and it did. My mom left that up on the bedroom closet. You know, I mean, I was in my 20s. And I had that thing up. It was up from the late 70s, probably on into the 90s, honestly. And it was that exact poster. I mean, that's not my poster, but that is the poster that I had up. And look who responded. Of all things, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October himself, replying and saying that he had Wilt, Russell, Baylor, Jim Brown, Johnny U. You can see all the names there. The pictures that Reggie had up on his wall when he was growing up. And I thought that was pretty fucking cool, Ron, because that's something I would venture to say that is probably a Super 70 Sports exclusive that Reggie gave us there, because I've certainly never heard him talk about that. And that might be, for all we know, the first time that Reggie has ever publicly talked about the posters he had. So again, you're talking about Alcaraz being, you know,
Just
the
like us.
example
Yeah.
of how we're all fans. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a reminder that even baseball legends like Reggie Jackson started out just like us. Here's one for you that you might not expect. I know I didn't. Reggie Jackson tweeting out that he bumped into a pretty good football player last night in Kansas City at the Yankees-Royals game. And there he is with Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Patrick Mahomes has a 15 Royals jersey that he wears to games. 5-time World Series champion meets a 3-time Super Bowl champion. I will tell you this. It's good to see Reggie out there still looking so good. Reggie just turned 79 years old last month and holding up pretty damn well out there. Reggie's got the ice cream helmet going as well, not getting cheated on his concession stand trips, and he never got cheated when he took a cut back in the day. I can absolutely tell you that. Look at that. That is the swing of a man who just put his ass into it. 2,597 strikeouts. That's the most all time, and he played in an era when the strikeout rate wasn't nearly as high as it is now. But 563 home runs. Times that he got cheated on a cut, 0. That is why the man was pure theater and pure entertainment. You knew when he went to the plate, he was trying to hit a homer. He wore it on his face. You could see it in his swing. And when he connected, we got moments that we'll never forget. 1977, Game 6 of the World Series. 3 home runs on 3 successive pitches from 3 different pitchers as the Yankees closed out the Los Angeles Dodgers. When Reggie struck out, he was like Mighty Casey. It was so good stuff. So much so that young producer Tim saw fit to name his turtle, at least partially, after Mr. October. Tim, I think that you should tell the story of one Reginald Martinez Munson.
Pretty epic, Ricky. Definitely something that, that I never imagined years ago I would be working with someone whose idol also was also Reggie Jackson. And one of our first calls, it was pretty wild to establish that. But yes, if we could take me full hill, you'll see the 2 guys who were the impetus for, yes, the pet turtle, which I was probably a little too old in life to have one. No jokes needed here, but there you see the 44, and of course the captain Thurman Munson.
You don't.
So yes, Reginald Martinez
pet turtles, do you?
No, incredible. I think you were impressed that I knew it was Reginald Martinez Jackson when it was sort of like our Ricky and I's first conversation. Yeah, and then when I dropped the Munson on you,
I was like,
it was an oh bro. Yeah,
looks like I got myself a real producer here, is what I thought at the time. Tim,
I had never seen that picture of him. Yeah, no, we were vibing better than me talking over you here during this part of the segment. That's for sure.
Listen, I'll tell you this. When I had pneumonia when I was 7, I got pneumonia. I missed 6 weeks of school in 2nd grade. And I was pretty sick. I had it good. And I remember I had this nasty fucking medicine. It was green. I mean, it smelled bad. It tasted worse. I was a little kid. I had to take it every day. And I remember my mom would pour it out into the tablespoon. And the way that she would get me to take my medicine is she would say, take it like Reggie Jackson. And so I would gather what inner strength my little 7-year-old pneumonia weakened body had. And I would suck it up and I would take that medicine because I knew that that's what Reggie Jackson would do. God damn it. So see, childhood heroes. Yeah, they provide us with value in certain ways, don't they?
Well done, Mom. Well done. Yeah, certainly. But look, Ricky, you, again, the fact that sort of kid from Kentucky, kid from New York, sort of a Reggie Jackson hero fan. Thurman really more mine than anything.